obviously supporting the Magpies. Marshall looks at some of the highlights from the remaining 4.
At Windy Hill, Darren Davies got Footscray into the swing of things early, twice scouting the pack intelligently and snapping truly on both occasions. Despite trailing at the first change, the Dogs quickly turned the tables, thanks largely to the dominance of Peter Foster. They slammed on 7 goals to 2 in the term, running rings around the Bomber defence. There were no beg pardons in the third quarter, and Essendon seemed to have emerged with a new lease of life, capitalising on several thrusts up forward to chip away at Footscray's lead and set up a thrilling finish. 2 quick goals in the final quarter, then a pathetic kick out of defence ensured a Footscray win. The margin, 24 points. At Moorabbin, the Saints kicked 8 straight points before posting their first major and hold a 9-point lead at quarter time. They stretched that early in the second before the Tigers found their feet, thanks in part to Mitchell and then Hogg, who goaled just before the siren. Richmond trailed by 13 points at half-time, and despite the efforts of Peter Wilson, who picked up a swag of possessions, couldn't improve on that in the third term. The Saints held a 15-point lead at the start of the last quarter, their backmen holding tight. The game became very frustrating. Even the runners and trainers tangled in a brawl just before the siren. But the Saints were too good on the day and won by 23 points. The Hawks had plenty of incentive against Geelong at Princes Park, Michael Tuck playing his 350th league game. But Geelong looked the better team for much of the first quarter, with Lidner showing great endeavour in the goal square. But yet again, full forward Jason Dunstall would prove the difference between the sides. 3 telling marks towards the end of the term resulted in 3 goals. Things warmed up quickly in the second quarter, but Dunstall only had eyes for the football. And even when he couldn't drag in marks, his tremendous agility at ground level saw Hawthorn reap the benefits. Even Dunstall, though, can count himself lucky to get this goal, his 7th. Mark Boss looked like he got the first boot in, but it didn't make much difference to the result. 3 goals from Dwayne Russell in the final quarter at least made the Cats score look somewhat respectable. But there was no stopping Dunstall as he booted his 9th for the game and his 76th for the year as Hawthorn cruised home to a 25-point win. At the MCG, North Melbourne had a real battle on its hands in the early stages against the Brisbane Bears, and while the Bears led by 11 points at quarter time, Peter German managed to put through one of the best goals of the term. The second quarter saw some great football from both teams, the Roos getting 6 goals to Brisbane's 4 to take the half-time lead by a goal. It was after the break that North was able to sew it up. German continued his dominance, and with assistance from Jimmy Cracker and Clarkson, the Roos had a 44-point advantage at the last change. In the last 30 minutes, the tale was much the same. North kicking 5-6 in the final term, while the Bears could manage only 2 goals too. And when the siren sounded, the Kangaroos were the victors by 66 points.
First match.